morning, everyone, and welcome to episode number 8 of the Old and the Restless. And this is our...
He's old and I'm restless.
Yes.
Just saying.
Just saying. No reflection on our guest, who may be both old and restless.
Precisely.
Precisely. But in any case...
She's youngy.
Episode 8 of the Old and the Restless, our very first one of 2026. My name is Andy Norton, and I am with Samson Properties. And to my immediate right, the lovely and eloquent hostess, Phyllis Whetzel, also of Samson Properties. And if you'd like to introduce our illustrious guest this morning.
We have with us Maryanne Mueller Davis. She lives in Lansdowne Woods in our community and in our same building.
That's right, Blue Ridge.
Yeah.
And we're excited about the topic we have this morning because it's a topic that I was not at all familiar with. So I'm excited to learn about the Conservancy.
Indeed. However, before we get started, if anyone in the audience wishes to have a follow-up conversation, our phone number is on the screen, as you can see. Any relevant documentation you'll be able to see on YouTube by clicking on a link and being able to download that. And be sure, since this is on YouTube, to hit the like button, which helps our algorithm, and subscribe so that you'll know when we do additional episodes of The Old and the Restless, which, you need to know what we have coming up. So you'll want to subscribe. But without further ado, Ms. Whetzel, would you like to ask the very first question of Maryanne?
Yes, because as I said, I didn't know anything about the Conservancy. So I was excited to learn that Maryanne, a good friend of mine as well, is on the board. So can you tell us a little bit about what the Conservancy really is?
Of course, thanks. I'm really happy that you're interested because certainly in my mind, when I first moved here, I had some idea of what I thought it would be. Like you, it took me a long time to figure out what it really does. And it's a great organization, actually. I am the senior class representative for the Conservancy. I represent Lansdowne Woods, as well as the 2 other 55-plus communities within Lansdowne, the Cadence, as well as the Vistas. So all of those people, probably, I don't know, maybe 5,000 people actually, are represented, and hopefully their 55-plus issues are represented by myself.
So just a minute. So the Conservancy is actually Lansdowne.
Correct.
Inclusive of townhouses, single family, the senior communities,
hospital,
resort,
as well as
commercial.
Okay. Exactly.
Okay.
So if it's in the 20176 zip code, it is most certainly Lansdowne, and maybe other things as well in that zip code. But the property of Lansdowne was basically a large development. The Conservancy was actually created, and the Lansdowne community as a community was created from Xerox, believe it or not. Xerox had a training center, which is currently the National Conference Center, also within Lansdowne. And that's over by the Belmont High School, if anybody doesn't know, because sometimes people don't.
So that was a large amount of acreage.
They owned a lot. But in those days, remember, there wasn't much to say about Leesburg, really. So they had this quiet kind of retreat center almost, where they trained their employees on how to sell Xerox machines or how to repair Xerox machines. As they sort of changed their focus, the property was sold in the early 80s to developers. And it's really a handful of people who then came to the conclusion they wanted to develop a really nice, slightly higher scale of development and quality than some of the surrounding areas were developing into. as a result, you'll see that the architecture within the communities, while all reflective of itself, also has a lot of variation. A lot of stone is used. A lot of signage is all similar. Street lights are the same. Interestingly enough, one of the ways you can tell where Lansdowne is, because we actually extend beyond Goose Creek, believe it or not. Slightly beyond Goose Creek, over by Kingsport is the name of the street. All you have to do is drive down Kingsport. And if it's a metal post with a mailbox, that's Lansdowne Conservancy. When they turn to wood, it's not.
So who came up with the idea of the conservancy?
I think
developers?
the developers themselves, and it was in order to maintain a standard of architectural excellence throughout the entire community.
So it almost sounds like it's a homeowners association within homeowners associations.
Correct. It's like a mega homeowners association.
Okay.
It's not, for example, as detailed as like the light bulb you put in your house, but it does, for example, maintain all the streets throughout Lansdowne. It makes sure that there is uniformity in signage, uniformity in lighting, uniformity in maintenance. Any kind of like walking that you might do through Lansdowne, if you're on Conservancy property, you will see that it's a black asphalt walkway. This walkway now extends all the way over to Genalia from Woodridge. So that was the completion of the trail. So like right at the edge of Genalia, it ends. It does include the hospital. You can walk on the asphalt there. Certainly all around the medical center area where we live. Then it goes up Riverside. It includes the town center of Lansdowne, as well as Lansdowne on the Potomac, which is the real large single-family entity we have. The conference center, the high school, and then again, you just go over Goose Creek to Kingsport, and that's sort of the divide.
So those beautiful trees and the landscaping that lines...
They maintain all of that.
They maintain that,
And
wow.
the reason
I was wondering who did.
Yeah, well, the nice thing about it is that, again, you live in an area that values forestation, maintaining trees, maintaining like shrubbery. They take care of all of that. They have their own maintenance team, basically. They also hire out as far as, I would say, you might have to cut some of this, as far as gardeners and things like that.
So one of the things that we had spoken about off camera, you're describing all the things the Conservancy does with trees and roads and sidewalks.
Correct.
And that takes a lot of money.
Right.
Many of our viewers don't know that they are indirectly contributing every month in their condominium dues to the Lansdowne Conservancy. So within the building that we live in, and you can correct me if I get any of this wrong, within Lansdowne Woods, we have different condominiums. And the one that we specifically live in is called Blue Ridge. And the assessment to the Lansdowne Conservancy from Blue Ridge is approximately $15,000 per year.
Right, and that amounts to something like $5 per person, I think.
Oh, no, 25.
25, excuse
25
me.
and change per month.
Per month, yes.
Per month.
Per month.
Yeah.
So with that, you get the guarantee that you are going to live in a community that values trees, that values maintenance of the area, that ensures that new development will blend nicely with what's existing as opposed to just sort of slapping up townhouses somewhere. So,
And keeping, is it Dominion Electric?
and
the-
keeping Dominion
the power lines?
electric lines off of
Okay.
Lansdowne. I actually got involved with I was always interested in finding out what the Conservancy was, as you mentioned. I first got involved with the Conservancy when Dominion had proposed putting some rather large transmission lines through our property. The Conservancy, in addition to all the nice things they do, is also in charge of ensuring that our home values retain their value. And that's actually the most important thing, I would say, that they do. That's when many of us, began actually petitioning Dominion for changes to their proposal. Until that time, that hadn't happened because nobody was aware of it. And in addition to that, even though I'd say some homeowners associations might have been aware of it, the import of it didn't hit them. The significance of those lines and how big they would be didn't hit them. So currently that case is with the Virginia Supreme Court, and they've just finished oral arguments like mid-January. So we expect to hear some sort of decision soon.
I know that's been a real point of contention, and I saw you one day when you were putting signs out.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I don't remember doing that, but okay.
Most of you don't realize how hard Maryanne has worked on this, and I saw her one day placing signs all over Lansdowne to protest these lines and to announce the meeting that was taking place.
Correct. It was more so probably to announce a meeting. I try not to put myself in the role of a protester. I fully believe we need data centers and we need lines. The proposal that Lansdowne came up with, and the unique thing that we did as a community, was actually hire engineers to come up with our own proposal for undergrounding those lines.
I like that.
Yeah, that's...
If you're going to object to something, you need to have a better idea.
Exactly. And we believe, as best we can tell, it's the first time that's ever been done in Virginia history.
Probably so.
Well, we don't know for sure, but, as best we could tell.
Okay. So many of the people watching are hearing about the Conservancy for the very first time. If they want to learn more about the Conservancy, you have a website, presumably.
Yes, we do.
LansdowneConservancy.org.
You got it. It's that simple.
Okay.
And believe it or not, it wasn't until all of this evolved with the Dominion lines that somebody, it would happen to have been me, noted that how difficult it was for me to understand where the Conservancy was coming from, and that perhaps maybe we should put a web page up. So it's a baseline. We just started it basically, but at least it gives you the information that you need about the Conservancy, and it will help explain what we do and who to contact if you have questions.
Are there any documents or brochures about the Conservancy that are available on the website that people can download to learn more?
Oh, well, I mean, there are pages on the website. There are not brochures necessarily, but you can download pages of it.
Okay.
It has, different sections you could click and download. So, yes, you can do that. I don't believe they have brochures. And again, that's mostly because they don't want to overimpose regulation on our community, and they want to keep our dues down. And we always try to make a decision that is in the best interests of all the residents, keeping price and fees, as reasonable as possible.
But you have regular meetings, do you not?
Quarterly meetings.
Quarterly. And for people who may be interested in learning more, can they attend?
They sure can. Quarterly meetings are open to everyone, and you can learn more on the website about the dates and how to either log in via Zoom or actually attend the meeting. The meetings are generally held at the Harper House, which is in Lansdowne Town Center. It's hard to see their pool. You wouldn't necessarily know it that way, but it's on McDowell Avenue and New Hampshire Crossing, I
But they
think.
can find that on the website.
Absolutely.
Okay. And if someone is interested in being involved in the Conservancy, just attend the meeting?
I think, the best would be to attend a meeting. We have, the Conservancy had run in some ways very much the same until the Dominion kind of issue came up, because we realized that we needed to broaden the vision somewhat. We needed to make sure that all our constituents really understand what we do. One of the interesting things, for example, is that the way the voting board, myself included, is structured is based on classes within the community. So I represent what's called the senior class, which is 55 plus. And those are those sets of homes that have people in them. Another section is, the hospital has its own member on the board, the resort does, since they're such large properties, as does the National Conference Center. The school does not actually sit on our board, although it does fall within our community. And then Lansdowne on the Potomac has a representative. The townhouses within Lansdowne Town Center have a representative.
How many are on the board?
Not many. It's maybe 8, I think.
Okay.
Not that many.
So 8 different.
Yeah.
Now, you serve a term of how many years?
I have 2 years. I have another year coming up. And at that point, what's going to happen, it's my understanding, after 6 months of redefining the senior class, because that had not yet been done, because for the longest time Lansdowne Woods was the only one. And it's only been in recent years that the Vistas came along and the Cadence came along. So as a result, what we're doing now is I have a term of 2 years. They had Lansdowne Woods started off because we had some expertise on the Conservancy already. The next time round, either the Cadence or the Vistas will have a representative representing the senior class. Following that, the other one, the Cadence or the Vistas.
So they rotate around.
We're going to rotate around
Okay, that makes sense.
every couple of years. So that way, because, a lot of the other homes that we have in the Conservancy 55 senior class is single family. So it's important to get their views as well.
Yes.
For those viewers who don't know where the Cadence is, because it's relatively new, can you describe the Cadence and how many people are there?
Absolutely. Okay, absolute numbers I can't tell you. I'm sorry. I'm not that good at that. That's why I say approximately 5,000 people writ large, because we have about 3. And between the other 2, and we assume like 2 per like 2 people per house. So for the Cadence, it is located behind the Belmont High School, and we're actually between Belmont High School and the National Conference Center, literally right between them. It's a small community. It's smaller than the Vistas. So, and it is relatively new, so much so that they continue to work with the developer on different issues of their community.
As far as the Conservancy itself, are there issues that Lansdowne Woods residents should be aware of and perhaps become involved in that, with your representation of the community, you think that we should know about?
Sure. We have, in addition to the functions that we've been talking about, there are a number of subcommittees that our Conservancy has. And so that's why everybody's sort of on something in addition to the Conservancy, given the number of people we have. For example, there is a committee that basically serves as the professional review committee of new developments and their architecture and their density and their road system, and discussing, will there be enough entryway into certain roads? Do we need to change things? Do we need to put traffic circles in? Do we need to work with VDOT on something along those
I was
lines?
going to say, it sounds like you have to work very closely with the county.
Absolutely.
And with-
Absolutely. And with the developers.
Yes.
Exactly. It is basically a marriage between the two.
Yeah.
And the county defers to some degree to the Conservancy's agreement with the developer that something needs to happen. So it's very, very tied to the county itself.
So speaking of developers, there are two things that maybe you can speak to. One, diagonally across from the hospital, where the bank used to be.
The Elm Street development.
So if you can speak to Elm Street. And then the other one is the possible sale of the conference center to a developer.
Correct.
Because that would be enormous. So in whatever sequence you'd like to address those.
Let's address the easiest first, Elm Street. That has already gone through most of the county's requirements as far as density, as far as, single family versus townhouse. It is going to be actually a community of townhomes, as well as a set of condos that will look like townhomes, very much the way it does in the town center, but nevertheless be sort of 2 stories. That development is largely completed on paper. Right now, we are really reviewing the architecture as well as the entrance and exit of that community, ingress, egress. We are looking very closely at how that community will empty out into Lansdowne Boulevard, because we do not have, believe it or not, feeder roads into Lansdowne per se. And so Lansdowne Boulevard has de facto been one. That is kind of from, as I understand it now, from a traffic maintenance perspective, difficult. And as you know, it can be tricky, especially for traffic during rush hour, coming out of the hospital down Lansdowne Boulevard and coming across 7 there. And that merge is kind of tricky when you think of another community there trying to have ingress egress. That will prove more challenging. So we have different proposals for VDOT that we would like them to consider. In addition to that, again, we're looking really mostly at making that particular community sort of, I hate to say it, the jewel, because it is the entrance to Lansdowne to Lansdowne writ large. And we want to ensure that that particular property reflects the high quality standards that we have in Lansdowne. And that's another reason you want the Conservancy involved.
Is the developer cooperative with respect to the design?
It's Pulte Homes, yes, Pulte Homes. They've been very helpful, very cooperative. We have a good working relationship. The Conservancy tries to maintain a good working relationship with everyone.
Of course.
Because, we want developers to develop property.
Everyone benefits when
Everybody
that happens.
does, exactly,
Yes.
exactly. So that's that particular parcel. As far as the National Conference Center, it has not been sold. There are a number of different issues that surround that. The voting that the National Conference Center actually constitutes within the board is, what was that?
Oh, it's a 5-minute, we have a 5-minute warning.
We're done then. Okay, sorry. Now I lost my thought. Okay.
The conference center.
The conference
The
center.
National Conference Center. That actually, believe it or not, represents a portion of the educational class within the board. That's a separate class and a separate voting class. They, for many years, because they were a training center, had that. If they sell and, for example, redevelop the property, what does that mean for the educational class within the community? It would actually mean a rewrite of our Articles of Confederation or our Articles of Incorporation, and it would require every homeowner in the entire area to vote on it, which would be, and we would need a certain quorum, which we probably would never achieve. So we are working with them to maintain that. Currently, the Arc of Loudoun is taking up part of that property and renting from National Conference Center. They are a sort of rehabilitation and educational group that works with challenged, either physically, mentally challenged people, and they would be a great, benefit. It would benefit the county. They had actually lost their housing for a while. Wow. So the conference center opened it to them. If it's all a development, however, then we have to sort of reassess what's going on. There are a number of different proposals that we have put forward as to how an educational class could possibly
Well, it sounds like there's a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
And I like the idea that you're so involved with this, Maryanne, and that the Conservancy really has our best interest at heart and the property values.
And I think that she has given us inspiration for a new topic for our monthly newsletter that you all can both download on YouTube and expect to see in your mailbox. I think we're going to call it the LWVA Tribune.
I think
Wow.
so.
Okay. So in any case,
By popular demand.
by popular demand. So thank you, Maryanne, for being our guest this morning
Yes,
and
thank you.
explaining to the community
That was
more
very-
about the Conservancy.
Well, thank
I
you
had
so
no
much.
idea.
Well, thank you so much for thinking of the Conservancy. We're always happy to make sure that every resident knows exactly what we do.
And if you're interested further, attend a meeting.
And this is going to be on YouTube, so please don't forget to hit the like button so that helps our channel grow. And be sure to subscribe so when we have subsequent videos, you'll be the very first to know, because one of the next videos will be about our condominium fees and how they are structured. You won't want to miss that one. Thank you, everybody.
Bye. He's old, I'm restless.